Welcome back to Hannity as we continue our debate tonight with Jorge Ramos of Univision. I want to ask you about extreme vetting. Okay, we know that we have an enemy. It's called radical Islam. I'll put up on the screen what is the law, and that is whenever a president finds the entry of any alien or any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may, by proclamation, and for such period as he deems necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens any restriction he may deem appropriate. So we have these 7 countries, and there are others, I would say the list needs to be bigger, that have ties to terror. And what he's saying is we are going to probably inconvenience people to make sure that they are not the people that James Comey and the CIA director and assistant FBI director and the national director of intelligence and former special envoy to defeat ISIS all told the country ISIS will infiltrate the refugee population. Do you support extreme vetting to protect Americans and not gamble with their lives?
What I can't understand is that the same country that gave me all the opportunities that my country of origin couldn't give me, now is treating other immigrants in these discriminatory ways.
So we should gamble with the lives of Americans?
Simply because they were born in another country. I mean, 16 attorney generals don't agree with you.
Even though we know they have a connection to terror.
Albright don't agree with you. So you might think that you are right, Sean, but many people think that what Donald Trump is doing is really undermining the national security of the United States. That's your point of view, Sean.
Wait, hang on a second.
But that's not the reality.
Here's the reality. This is the truth. Radical Islamists are at war with America. Need I remind you of Chattanooga, Fort Hood, the Boston bombing, San Bernardino, the Orlando Pulse nightclub, all that has happened. Let me finish. And I remind you of all these things, and these countries have contacts to terror. So you're willing to make this choice. Instead of the inconvenience of people from countries we know have ties to terror, because Obama told us that you are willing to gamble with the lives of Americans and not vet them. That, to me, do you really care about your fellow Americans at all? Do you care about their safety?
My kids were born here, Sean. Paola and Nicolas, they were born here.
Do you care about Americans?
I'm glad that you mentioned the Boston bombing. I'm glad that you mentioned San Bernardino. I'm glad that you mentioned 9/11. Because guess what? None of the terrorists involved in those acts, none of them are part of the 7 countries that Donald Trump is trying to ban.
Excuse me. We now know and have identified.
They're not from those countries.
We now have identified 72 people convicted from the 7 countries since 9/11. So you're willing to gamble with the lives of Americans rather than inconvenience people that come from countries that have ties with terrorism.
It is the Constitution, Sean. It is simply the Constitution, and all depends what kind of country we want to be.
They're not citizens, Jorge. They're not citizens.
If Donald Trump is so right, then how come 4 judges so far have decided that he's...
Because they went judge shopping to the #1 judicial
that's how you want to see it, but I respect the judges in this country. That's how you see it, but I really respect the countries in this country.
The Ninth Circuit is, by the way, overturned about 80% of the time. That's
why I came to this country, because of balance of power. I came to this country fleeing censorship. That's why I love this country, because you have balance of power.
Why are you willing to side with a little inconvenience, not from citizens, but people that want to visit our great nation? They're going to be inconvenienced, yes. But why are you willing?
Because I believe in immigrants. I'm an immigrant. I believe
that
other immigrants like me are not criminals or terrorists.
Why are you willing to gamble with the lives of Americans? Why? That, to me, is reckless and irresponsible.
I believe in this country. I believe in the laws of this country. I believe in the freedoms of this country. I believe in the Constitution.
They're not citizens, Jorge.
I believe in the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal, even if we're immigrants. And I want to let you know that immigrants, we are not criminals and terrorists, and this is our country, your country and my country.
Some are.
Our country.
3,000
and even though you might want to
criminalize
the immigrant population, we're not as you want to portray us. We're not like that.
642,000 crimes in 7 years. I sat through a security briefing.
I don't agree with that number. I don't agree with that number.
I played it at the beginning of the first segment.
Yeah, but I don't agree. Just because you are saying that, Sean,
okay, so
honestly,
the police were lying to me. The people
true.
on the front lines were lying to me? Is that what you're saying?
So the American Immigration Council is lying, and the FBI
is
lying
that the crime has decreased
because of immigrants?
2 mothers lost their kids. Why do we risk their kids' lives because you want open borders? And you're unwilling to ask people to come here legally.
Better than Kate law.
You should respect the law, Jorge. You don't respect the law. You don't respect American law, or do you care? You seem to care enough about the American people.
It's a debate. I understand it's a debate, but I do respect the law, and I think background checks is much better than
illegal immigration and respect the law. That's beyond a joke. That's just not reality.
I don't think so. I don't think so, Sean. And before we finish, even though we don't agree on anything, I really appreciate the fact that we can have this conversation, because we need this conversation to change the things the way they are.
You know what? I want people to come here. My grandparents all were immigrants. I'm just asking people.
I came legally. I came legally to this country.
Follow
your family.
The law. Do it legally. Let us check you out, and then you can become a part of our family.
And they are here because there are thousands of American companies who hire them.
And they were checked out.
Millions of Americans who benefit from their work. Your audience and you and me, we all benefit from their work. The house where you live was built by immigrants, and the lunch that you had was harvested by immigrants.
Jorge, thank you.